the only thing better than October baseball is an iconic October home run. We've all done it in the backyard. I've gotten excited about some homers that I've hit in my imagination, but only a chosen few people. It's sort of like walking on the moon. But what we're trying to do here primarily is celebrate and honor some of the most significant home runs that have ever been hit. The object of this list isn't to piss you off with the order that I have them ranked in. You know, friends, there's nothing like October baseball, and the only thing better than October baseball is an iconic October home run, and we have seen some during this 2025 postseason. Shohei Ohtani's 3 home run game that, oh, by the way, came with 10 strikeouts and 6 shutout innings pitched. And then George Springer in Game 7 of the American League Championship Series, 3-run shot that punched the Blue Jays' ticket to the Fall Classic to meet Ohtani. Maybe those guys aren't done yet, but we have certainly seen some incredible, electrifying October long balls during this playoff season. And it got me thinking about what are the greatest, most iconic, most memorable home runs in the history of October baseball. And so I bring you my top 10. In fact, like Nigel Tufnell, this one's going to go to 11 because I'm going to begin with an honorable mention. Kirby Puckett in Game 6 of the 1991 World Series. Walk-off home run, Jack Buck's famous call, "We'll see you tomorrow night." And then tomorrow night, Jack Morris just happened to go out there and author one of the most famous shutouts in the history of the World Series, his 10-inning masterpiece as he beat the Atlanta Braves 1-0, and Minnesota won the World Series. So shout out to Kirby Puckett before we begin. Now look, the object of this list isn't to piss you off with the order that I have them ranked in. This is a celebration. Although, if you think that I've left somebody out, let us know in the comments. If you think somebody's too high or too low, let us know, because debating that stuff is, I recognize, half the fun. But what we're trying to do here primarily is celebrate and honor some of the most significant home runs that have ever been hit in baseball history. So we will begin the countdown here. Casey Kasem style. Number 10, Ozzie Smith, of all people. A guy who hit precious few home runs in his career. A guy whose value was tied to his defense. Some people believe he's the greatest defensive player of all time at any position. Count me among them. But take a look at this graphic. As Ozzie Smith dug in, Game 5 of the National League Championship Series tied 2-2, facing the big right-hander Tom Niedenfuhr, the Wizard. Jack Buck again on the call here in 85 saying, "Go crazy, folks. Go crazy." And the St. Louis Cardinals made their way on to the World Series, where Don Dinkinger fucked up what might have been a world championship for them, but that's a different countdown for a different day. Number 9 on the list of greatest October home runs, another pennant winner, this time over in the American League. Let's go back to 2003, Game 7, Yankees and Red Sox, bottom of the 11th inning, tied 5-5. And the late, great Tim Wakefield, one of the last of the true knuckleballers, served one up to now Yankees manager Aaron Boone, and Booney deposited it into the left field stands, punching the Yankees ticket to the World Series, where they would go on and lose to the Florida Marlins, ultimately. But that flag flies forever as 2003 American League champions. Our friend Booney coming up large. And I've asked him about that, and he said, it's kind of an out-of-body experience when something like that happens. We've all done it in the backyard. I've gotten excited about some homers that I've hit in my imagination, but only a chosen few people. It's sort of like walking on the moon. What have we had? Something like 12 or 14, 15 guys have walked on the moon. I'm just spitballing here. There's only about that many guys who have hit truly incredible October home runs. So Booney among them. Now, the following year, 2004, the Red Sox get redemption, and they get it in a big way. The greatest comeback that we've ever seen in postseason history. in the 2004 American League Championship Series. The only team to this day that has come back from a 3-0 playoff deficit in the history of Major League Baseball. And it began in the ninth inning of Game 4 when Dave Roberts stole the base. Mariano Rivera could not close it out. And then right there, that shot that you just saw, 12th inning, Big Papi snapping a 4-4 tie with the 2-run walk-off. The cop in the bullpen says, yes, it's gone. And the Red Sox cut the series lead to 3-1. And then it became 3-2. And then it became 3-3. And then it became, oh shit. And the Red Sox did the incredible, going on to the World Series, breaking the curse of the Bambino. Would have never happened without Big Papi's extra inning shot there at Fenway Park in 2004. Now, number 7 is a little bit different because number 7 is sort of a culmination of an entire game's worth of achievements here. Reggie Jackson, Game 6, 1977 World Series, the closeout game, Yankees up 3-2 against the Los Angeles Dodgers. And what does Reggie Jackson do? He homers on the first pitch from Bert Hooton. His next at bat, he homers on the first pitch from Elias Sosa. And then what does he do for an encore to that? That's right, first pitch from Charlie Huff. Out of there, 3 pitchers, 3 pitches, 3 straight home runs, and the label of Mr. October was given to him, one that he has worn with pride for almost 50 years now. The New York Yankees win their first World Series that night since 1962. 15-year drought snapped, and Reggie Jackson earned his place in history as perhaps, arguably, the most clutch World Series performer that we've ever seen. Number 6 comes to us courtesy the following year of Reggie's teammate and a guy who was about 90% less likely to hit a home run in any situation, but who came up large on the most important stage that he possibly could have. Bucky fucking Dent, who gained his nickname officially on October 2nd, 1978. This is the first regular season home run on our list. Yankees and Red Sox playing a 1-game additional regular season game to snap the tie. We don't do that anymore in 2025. American League East this year, Blue Jays and Yankees were tied. They settled it on head-to-head record during the season. If they had settled this one on head-to-head record during the season, you'd have gotten the same result. It would have been the New York Yankees advancing as division champions, but that's not how we did it back in the 70s. We played it out like men, and Bucky Dent somehow puts one into the netting over the Green Monster in the 7th inning, bringing the Yankees back from down 2-0 to a 3-2 lead. They hold on. The Yankees coming from 14 games back. Some of you may remember, July 19th, 1978, the Yankees trailed the Red Sox by 14 games. And Bucky Dent closes out one of the greatest comebacks that we've ever seen. The Yankees going on to repeat as world champions against the Dodgers again that October. Now we come to number 5. And number 5 is one of those, I remember where I was when it happened. I remember where I was with Bucky Dent as well. I was sitting in front of the family's 19-inch Zenith tube television, watching that game as a very anxious 7-year-old whose mother had promised him, after a lot of pleading, that he could stay up late and watch the World Series if the Yankees made it to the World Series. That was the summer that I discovered baseball. 1993, I was a little bit older, but I remember this one very well. Joe Carter, Toronto leading the series 3-2, but trailing 6-5 in the 9th inning in Game 6. Mitch Williams, the Wild Thing, from the Philadelphia Phillies, serves one up. Joe Carter connects at the same place that George Springer did. I'm not going to call it the Rogers Center, though, when we talk about 1993, because that was the fucking Sky Dome. And everybody knows it. one of only 2 times in history that the World Series has been clinched on a walk-off home run. Joe Carter, the RBI king of that era, getting it done for the Toronto Blue Jays in absolute bedlam. I was in O'Charlie's, a restaurant in Bowling Green, Kentucky. I was about 3 margaritas in, watching the game with my buddy Steven, and I will never forget how mad that place got, even in Kentucky, where presumably nobody had a dog in the fight. Now we come to number 4. We're getting more iconic as we go. Number 4 comes in a losing cause. This is the only home run on the list that ultimately involved a World Series loss subsequently, at least immediately thereafter. Some of the pennant winners ultimately ended in World Series defeat, but this came from within a World Series that his team lost. But Carlton Fisk, in Game 6 of the 1975 World Series, Cincinnati up 3-2, bottom of the 12th inning. Some people think that this might be the greatest baseball game ever played. Game 6 in 75. 6-6 tie. Pat Darcy of the Cincinnati Reds on the mound. And Carlton Fisk steps up using that bat. This photo taken earlier this year. That is Rick Burleson, Red Sox shortstop and all-star during his career. Some of you no doubt remember him well. Carlton Fisk was using his bat, and his bat, by the way, was just a little bit lighter. It wasn't as many ounces as Carlton Fisk's gamers. And that might be part of the reason that he got around on it a little fast and had to use the most effective body English that we've ever seen as it clanked off of the foul pole and the Boston Red Sox were on top of the world, at least briefly, before the Cincinnati Reds went on to win that World Series. A World Series that is, to this day, talked about a ton 50 years later. Number 3. 1951, the Dodgers and the Giants were tied after 154 games. And this is back in the days when we didn't have divisions. So what do you do when 2 teams are tied after 154? Well, in those days, you played a 3-game playoff in the National League. Game 1 was at Ebbets Field, and it was won by the New York Giants over the Brooklyn Dodgers. Game 2 moved to the Polo Grounds where the Dodgers drubbed the Giants 10-0, setting up Game 157 of each team's regular season with the National League pennant hanging in the balance. And in the bottom of the 9th inning, with the Brooklyn Dodgers ahead 4-2, who steps to the plate but Bobby Thompson to face Dodgers reliever Ralph Branca? And you've heard the call before. Red Barber, the Giants announcer, the Giants win the pennant. The Giants win the pennant. The Giants win the pennant. Forever known as the shot heard round the world, October 3rd, 1951, at the Polo Grounds in New York, number 3 on the all-time list. Coming in at number 2, let's go with maybe the most Roy Hobbs-like moment that has ever occurred in real baseball. Could Hollywood script a better scenario than the man who would go on to be named 1988 National League MVP, Kirk Gibson, rendered unable to play, looked like he would be unavailable for the entirety of the 1988 World Series, and as it turns out, save for this one at bat, he did not play in the entire World Series. But if you get one October at bat in the World Series, nobody has ever used it more efficiently than Kirk Gibson. Game 1 of the World Series, the Bash Brothers, the great Oakland A's team, the dynasty there, they went to the World Series 3 years in a row from 88 to 90, winning the World Championship a year later during the Earthquake Series in the Bay Area. But on this night, the A's leading the Dodgers 4-3 at Dodger Stadium, 2 outs, and on the mound, future Hall of Famer and the most effective relief pitcher in the game at the time, the great Dennis Eckersley. A man who had not given up a home run since August the 24th. Yeah, NBC jinxed him by putting that on the screen. As I've tweeted, let's revisit the subject in about 5 minutes. Kirk Gibson, to the surprise of everyone in that stadium, summoned by Tommy Lasorda to pinch hit, strained groin, unable to run, unable to do a hell of a lot at all, but able to get his bat on the ball and hit a 2-run home run that sent Chavez Ravine into convulsive celebrations. And the Dodgers would go on to sweep that World Series behind the mojo created by Kirk Gibson's Hollywood moment in Game 1. And to this day, two men whose names are intertwined throughout history. We could say the same for Ralph Branca and Bobby Thompson at number 3. We certainly can say the same here, because if anybody says Dennis Eckersley, the thought of Kirk Gibson is not far behind. And if anybody says Kirk Gibson, you got to think about Eck. And I'm sure that Eck has reflected upon that moment in a slightly different way over the course of the last nearly 40 years than Gibby has. And so this brings us all the way down to number 1. We didn't even have a Casey Kasem long distance dedication. Maybe we should start doing that in the middle somewhere of this. But we come down now to what I consider to be the gold standard in October home run heroics. And let's go back to October 13th, 1960, Forbes Field in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. 3-3 series tied, bottom of the 9th inning, New York Yankees and Pittsburgh Pirates tied 9-9 in the bottom of the 9th in Game 7. And up to the plate steps Gold Glove second baseman Bill Mazeroski, never known for his bat, known for being perhaps the finest defensive second baseman in history. And he goes yard off the Yankees' Ralph Terry, making him the only man to hit a Game 7 walk-off home run in the history of Major League Baseball. And after he homered to end the game, he was forced to navigate through the cast of Leave It to Beaver. Take a look at this. Fans running out onto the field. It was a different era. Look, I believe I see Eddie Haskell there. I think that's Wally Cleaver. We've got a friendly police officer coming up on the scene. Either that or he's the milkman who got excited while he was dropping off Lumpy Rutherford's family's milk. But Bill Mazeroski had to weave his way around a Norman Rockwell painting in order to make it to home plate with the 10th and winning run in Game 7 in a series where the Yankees outscored the Pirates 55-27. But it matters when you score them. And take a look at this. Fans still congregate there. It's on the campus of Pittsburgh College, University. And there, still, Forbes Field, the wall is still there, much of it. They left it. And what a scene when the Yinzers get out there to relive the moment. And yes, look, that's a younger, less hairy Ricky Cobb who made the pilgrimage to the Forbes Field wall, what's left of it, back in the summer of 2013. And there I am. I've been to like 29 ballparks, and I've been to what remains of several ballparks, including Tiger Stadium and, in this case, Forbes Field. My buddy Jeremy and I went out there with a baseball and our gloves, and I went up against the brick wall and pretended that I was Roberto Clemente hauling in a fly ball on a couple of occasions. They've also got a little baseball field out there, or at least they did in 2013, that is named Bill Mazeroski Field, and aptly so. So when you talk about October heroics, George Springer and Shohei Ohtani, they're adding their names to a very, very impressive list of the greatest home runs that we've ever seen hit in October.